All right. Fire them up.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Genre of Your Life podcast, a show all about movies, TV, and the genres that define us, and a podcast where the host will never take the substance. I am one of your hosts, Doug Jones. With me as always,
facts.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Hell yeah.
I'm your host, Doug Jones. With me as always is my amazing co-host, one of the most amazing people in the world, one of my best friends. It's the incredible, the wonderful, it's the amazing. It's Mr. Nick Johnson. How's it going, Nick?
Not as amazing as you, my friend, but I appreciate you. But I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
You're too kind, my friend, man. I'm still trying to follow your footsteps of greatness, my good sir. I'm still learning.
No, you're too kind. You're too kind.
No, it's I mean, every word, my friend. We all want to be Nick the Great.
Stop, bro. You're too kind. But I appreciate you, though, man.
Of course,
I'm
my
just
boy.
trying to be me. That's all that is.
I'm just doing me. What did I think it was a Michael Jordan quote? He goes, "I won this." I forgot one of his Hall of Fame. I think it's Hall of Fame speech. He goes, "I did this. I had no one else's help. I did this." Everyone's like, "Okay, like, all right."
I was like, hey, man, kind of chill out a little bit, eh?
Yeah, man, we get it, but nah, man. I want to thank you again for an amazing week last week with our nice little getaway, and also just being one of the best co-hosts, one of the best friends in the entire world, also one of the best screening partners, man. Because last week we had a good old time. Last week seeing two movies back to back.
Yes, sir. Busy week, but a fun week indeed.
A busy week, man. And guess what? We love what we do, so we don't even call it work. We just love seeing movies.
Yeah, we just having fun chilling.
We just having fun. Amen to that, brother.
We just doing our thing.
We're just doing our
thing. That's all that is.
We're doing our thing. And you all are here. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode. Like I said, this is episode number 59. We are the last episode of our era in the 50s. If you're new to the show, welcome to the podcast. Hope you enjoy your first listen and go around with us. If you're returning to the show, welcome back to the podcast. We are so glad you stuck around for another week of rambling about movies and TV and all things entertainment. As always,
Yes,
my
sir.
friend, you can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music. We also have a full audio page on our YouTube page. Audio version of the show on our YouTube page, Midway Avenue Productions. Thanks to you all, we celebrated last week up in Prescott for other reasons, not for this video. But we our video, our reaction now has been a year since it debuted a year ago on YouTube. Our out of theater reaction to Expendables 4 just hit over 100,000 viewers, which is to me and Nick, which is like crazy.
That is insane. Thank each and every 100,000 of y'all so friggin' much.
It's crazy to think. Again, we're very humble and we're very appreciative of this because, again, like I said all the time, like, you know, we've been lucky enough to see all these amazing screenings, whether it's from Dune to The Fall Guy to Indiana Jones. I mean, list goes on and on and on and on.
Yep,
And
speak no evil.
Speak no evil, dude. I mean, The Substance, like, we've been very fortunate, very privileged that we've been doing this now for almost 2 years. We've done some amazing screenings, always amazing movies, good, and some okay movies too, and some bad movies. Night Swim, but still there, Night Swim. But you know, it's crazy to think that again, a movie that me and Nick did not really care for. Let's be real, and that we were like, and a movie, and also our fourth or fifth take doing that reaction as our infamous stories that this guy put his baby in the video, and Nick has a better version of the story than I do, but it's always the guy was like, "Hey, put my son in the video, and I'm holding the camera, and me and Nick were like, "Okay, yeah, sure," and they walked out of the theater, and me and Nick just fucking erupt in laughter.
Because it was just such a surreal moment. Like he's like shoving his kid in our phone. Like, put my son in the video. I like to be in videos too. And it was like, hey, bro, like chill. Like, dang, just be regular, man.
Hey, man, stop being weird.
Yeah, it was kind of like this is too much.
But we would have thought back then that video would be our biggest video of all time we've ever done.
Like I was thinking like maybe like 500-600 or something. But
being generous,
100,000, that's insane.
And counting.
Yeah.
And counting.
So thank all of y'all for that.
And again, obviously, we have a really amazing fan base thanks to you all on like Spotify and Apple and Amazon and YouTube Music and all the podcast platforms, whether it's Pandora, iHeartRadio, and that's awesome, and we love that. And but for some reason that we're still growing. We're year two Batman. We're year two of other than the podcast right now, and we're still growing.
like
Right, a little Batman reference for you. And we're still kind of like evolving. We're still we're preparing to do the video podcast. Me and Nick have a lot of cool things behind the scenes that we're working on every week for the show and for you all and for us, of course. But again, a year ago we were at, I would say, being generous, 20 followers on YouTube, which again is we were still new, we were still learning do reactions and stuff like that. However, but I would say maybe 20, 30 people on YouTube, which again, we were very a small channel, but thanks to that video, we're just past over 560 subscribers on YouTube, which is, to me, very crazy that in a year we've got that and we're growing too. But thanks to you all that keep watching our Expendables 4 reaction. And again, a movie that me and Nick kind of saw on a random Tuesday in September would be our biggest video. We're very grateful, very humble. And again, it's out of all the movies we've seen, for some reason, you guys love that and no complaints because, like I said, all press is good press. We want to thank you guys for getting us to over 100,000 views on that video and helping to grow on the YouTube channel, which is very important to us. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you guys so much.
It's crazy that it's still counting too. Like we're like 101,985, which is like it's still growing. So you know what? We'll take it.
Hell yeah.
We'll take
Hell
it.
yeah.
And it's really cool. But seriously, thank you all so much. And again, to all our podcast listeners, whether you're on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, please rate, subscribe to the show, share it with your friends, family, movie fans, podcast fans. But to our Apple Podcast fans especially, we really do need your help still getting to 200 ratings on Apple Podcasts. Like I said every week, it's that Apple Podcast is the nucleus of podcast ratings and kind of just like analytics in terms of us getting more press coverage, us doing more cons and festivals, getting out for us more press opportunities to see movies early, press screenings for their studios, stuff like that. So again, we love all our Spotify, Amazon, YouTube Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, but you all are the best. You are helping our show grow. But to our Apple Podcast fans, particularly, please rate the show and rate the show 5 stars and share us with your friends. It really will help us out a lot. So please rate, subscribe, share it with your friends, movie fans, fellow movie fans, neighbors, family, friends, teachers, whoever. And again, we really do appreciate the ongoing support and just the growth the past year. Again, we're just getting started because me and Nick have a lot of cool things in store for you all and for the show this upcoming year and the next couple months. We're still working out. They're still finalizing things of the video podcast. Look out for that. But thank you for just believing in us and just, supporting us. It means the world to us.
Yes, indeed. Thank you guys so much.
Of course. All right, my friend. So we have a pretty packed, pretty important episode of the podcast tonight. We have 2 reviews for you. We have 2 very, 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 very different movies to review for you all tonight. We have the cute, really feel-good movie, My Old Ass, as well as a wildly bonkers, insane, crazy body horror film, The Substance, both getting really phenomenal reviews coming out of the festivals. Both those movies came out of the festivals this year. So we have that for you all in store. But before we do our reviews tonight, Nick, we talk about all the time Bond, who will do Bond next, what's the actor involved, who's the director. Let me throw out a name to you. This has been reported today thanks to our friends at Word of Real.
Okay.
Damien Chazelle.
Damien Chazelle.
Whiplash, La La Land, Babylon, and First Man. Apparently, this is getting according to our friends at Word of Real, that so obviously Damien Chazelle had a next deal with Paramount, I believe, because again it's we still very mid-budget drama with action elements, but the rumor is that he has met with Barbara Broccoli, who's the estate owner and producer of the Bond franchise, and that the rumor is that he's met with the estate and Barbara Broccoli to maybe be in the talks of it. And also the rumor is that he is a huge, and I mean massive, James Bond fan. So given that his films I think his films are very beloved for the most part by movie fans and obviously awards and critics. What are your thoughts when you hear that Damien Chazelle might be directing the next Bond movie?
I'm very curious. It's very interesting. I never would have thought of him as a possible director for it, but I could see him doing kind of. I could see him going more like old school and making it a grittier Bond movie, like a grittier 1960s, kind of spy thriller.
Okay.
I feel
Okay.
like I could see him doing that. It's like, dang, who it makes me wonder who would play Bond in that movie though, because I
Would
would
it
really like Henry Cavill to play Bond. I feel like he would be pretty cool as Bond.
wouldn't it be funny? It's just Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons. Where he
Oh
at?
my God.
Not my tempo. Not
Yeah,
my tempo,
J.K.
Bond.
Simmons. J.K.
J.K.
Simmons
Simmons.
is M.
Yo, where,
Mm-mm.
where that Teller kid at?
That would be insane. I
Ruin
don't
my
know.
career.
I would see that movie for sure, but I'm like, I don't know.
That would
I don't know if that would be the best choice.
that would be fucking crazy. Yeah, I can definitely. So this is okay. This is why I'm not against it, and here's why. Because who would have thought Sam Mendes was going to do a James Bond movie? And
That's true. I didn't know who he was before Skyfall.
I'm with you on that too. I think all the movie I knew from him was, again, yeah, I'm with you. I think my first Sam Mendes movie was Skyfall. I'm pretty sure, because again, I didn't see American Beauty until college.
Hmm.
What's the other one? I thought, yeah, Road to Perdition I saw when we were in college as well. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, I saw that after. I saw that in college. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? The only movie I saw of his at the time was Jarhead.
Yeah. See, I started Jarhead. I think like a year ago,
It's good.
roughly. It's really good. I'm loving it.
It's good.
I, it's dope. It's heavy though, man. Because I'm
It's
kind of like
heavy.
when you see like how they kind of are like how they like fuck with each other because it's just like there's nothing else to do out here but like fuck with each other, and it's like we're all just kind of
Yeah.
like stuck here. We're all just like losing our minds here. It's kind of like just to see how psychologically like heavy it was on the characters. That was kind of like it was like god damn, dude.
Yeah, right.
It was
You're just like
insane. I'm like,
you're like,
jeez.
"Ooh." And Jamie
Like,
Foxx
y'all were
really
just going
knows.
through it.
Right. And Jamie Foxx knows how to get a good performance out of you too. Like Jamie Foxx will
Yeah.
test you of like this. It's like he knows how to like really kind of just like work you up, but like it's all for the performance and the movie itself.
Let me
Um,
ask you something. Speaking of Jamie Foxx, do,
yeah.
do you think he should play Spawn in Todd McFarlane's King Spawn? That's a dope title, though.
It is a cool title. Well, it's funny that I'm surprised Blumhouse is doing it. And again,
Hmm.
I'm not trying.
That kind of intrigues me because
It,
they're good with horror.
they're good with horror, and it's funny. Someone said that Spawn will have just like a red tablecloth as his cape, and I'm like,
Oh
damn,
my god!
because of the fucking budget. How again? But however,
I hope they don't do that. Holy cow!
but I again with seeing a movie like Upgrade and The Invisible Man, even the first Halloween 2018 movie, the fact that those movies look really good for like less than 10 mil each is
Hmm.
bonkers to me. I bring this up all the time. Like I love Upgrade so much because it doesn't feel like a 2.5 or 3.5 mil movie. It feels like a kind of like decently budgeted film. But to me, just like they know how to really just like stretch their budget. I think their biggest movie is like 30 mil with The Glass, and that also was
Damn.
like that also was like, M. Night Shyamalan, Bruce Willis, Sam Jackson had to get paid, obviously. So I get it. But I know how they can definitely push a budget out. Jamie Foxx, to me, I think, one of my favorite actors of all time, one of my heroes, one of my idols. I idolize Jamie Foxx in so many different ways. I could definitely see it because I feel like, what's the last good Jamie Foxx movie that I saw? Or what you? What's the last good Jamie Foxx movie you saw?
Hmm.
I loved him. I mean, obviously, I loved him in No Way Home. I thought he was really fun as Electro. Um,
Oh, that's true. That's true. I was thinking like where he's like
oh,
the main character because
do
I
you know
was
he's good
like,
in? Have you
what's up?
seen They Clone Tyrone yet?
Damn, no.
That movie was very cool. It was very sci-fi, very psychedelic, very funky, very groovy, and I like the vibe of like it was kind of like an old school blaxploitation film, but with like comedy and sci-fi to it, and it was the hybrid genre, the hybrid genre hybrid, which I love when they do kind of like mix of the comedy with other things, and that was a really underrated movie from last year. So he was really good in
Okay.
that too. Worth the watch. Definitely worth the
Okay,
watch.
bad, bad. I'm gonna try to
Um,
watch it this weekend.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's good cinematography. It's really kind of fun and a really fun and groovy movie. Um, but obviously this movie's been in talks since like 2018. It's been 6 years.
Yeah, but because I'm with you on that. It's like they announced it. I'm like, okay, interesting, interesting. I like Jamie Foxx a lot. I could kind of see him as Spawn, but I'll admit I'm kind of thinking like maybe what about like someone like Mahershala Ali as Spawn Al Simmons because he has the voice too.
How weird would that be if he goes from Blade to Spawn? Like he
If he
doesn't
was
do
if he was
Blade.
just doing both franchises at the same time,
That would be cool, but
that would be
uh,
insane.
I don't see it happening. I feel like the probability is that he would
No, no,
he
there's no way. In
yeah,
like a
there's no
perfect,
way.
completely fanciful world,
Right.
that would be cool to see. Or even if like, wouldn't this be interesting? That they, he's Blade, but then they get like a different actor to play Spawn. But then for some whatever reason, they make a Spawn versus Blade movie.
That would be crazy.
That would be dope. That would be dope. I
That
like that.
that would be what does he say in Deadpool? That would be IP infringement. um,
Oh my God. Hell
it,
yeah.
it was funny. I went to go see Deadpool again last night before I left theaters this weekend because
Mhm.
it's leaving the Regal by my apartment. And I walked
Oh
in
damn.
last night and I walked in. I was surprisingly kind of crowded. I was like, wow, for a movie's been out for 2.5 months, it's pretty cool to see. It's pretty busy. Well, first off, I was carded for rated R movie the first time in like years. I walked
What?
in, and we go there all the time. I saw like Alien there, Long Legs there, a bunch of shit there this summer, and I go
Hmm.
there every week. 'Cause I live by the theater, and
Yeah.
I walked in, the guy was like, "Give your ID, please," and I was like, "Really? I'm here all the time." He goes, "ID, please," and I was like,
Mm-mm.
"Okay." And I give my ID. He goes, guess it works for me." And I was like, "Okay." And I was sitting there like.
You're like, thank you.
I was like, yeah, thank you, right? Thank you, question mark. I was thinking of like the Key and Peele. This is bad. Michael Jackson bad. Thank you, chef? Question mark. um, and I walked in. I was like, okay. And I walked in, and it was pretty crowded for like it was back for a couple months. I would assume it's
Mhm.
probably like repeat viewings, whatever. But the funny thing though is I remember so last night when I watched it, and now again, I'm not a parent, obviously. I'm a dog dad, but I don't have any kids. But they're neither do you. So it's just like we're not parents yet. So
Mhm.
this guy walks in with like four of his kids, and I was like, huh. And again, you do you. Yep. You're parenting, whatever. And they were like, I would say like 7 or 8, like no older than 10. And I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And I want to say 30 minutes in, they just leave. They don't come back.
Damn.
They just leave. And
I
I'm
wonder
not.
what for.
Yeah, I did just left, and I was like, "Did you?" I mean, it could be maybe it was a little too violent for them. That could be a possibility. Just
I mean, sure, but what'd you expect?
what would you expect? It's
Didn't you
Deadpool.
check the rating before watching the movie?
You would think, right? You would
You
think.
always got to check before you watch. People check before you watch.
You would think. And I was like, and they left around, again, this is, it's been out 2 months. We already have spoiler discussion about it. They left like right around they got to the void. Like
Hmm.
maybe when they meet Cassandra Nova. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's where the movie gets like really, really interesting.
Yeah, so you already saw him, just murking people to bye bye bye, and I was
Yeah.
like, "You're gonna leave after that?" Or I was like, "Oh, okay." So, I think they saw the first fight between Deadpool um, and Wolverine. So I was like, "Okay," but they had this left. But I'm not gonna lie though, I was again, I both love this movie so much. I was laughing again. This is my third or fourth time seeing this movie. I kept laughing at it, and
It
I'm not gonna
never gets
lie,
old.
never gets old. It's really it's
It's
just funny.
classic and iconic.
Yes, exactly. Classic. Perfectly said, my boy. Perfectly said.
Yes, that's what I
Um,
do.
a man of the beautiful words.
A man of
Um,
perfect words.
yeah.
I'm teasing y'all. I'm teasing.
No, you are. You definitely are. I'll give you that. Um, and I was laughing a lot. Obviously, it's a very funny movie. And one of the kids kept giving me the fucking like that side eye, like you're laughing at this. And I was just like, "Hey, man, leave me alone. Hey, kid, leave me alone." Because I was just
Hey,
like,
stop hating, little kid. Stop
I'm
hating.
I'm
Stop
enjoying
hating.
myself, and also the
Yeah.
theater. Again, it's been out for a couple of months. This could be probably repeat viewings. I was like the only one laughing in this movie too, and I was like, okay. And I was just like, wow, like you would think like people laugh at this,
Oh
but
damn.
me, and there was no one laughing. I was like, man, tough crowd.
Hey, bro, hold up. My bad. Give me just like 1 second.
They're good.
Oh, sorry. So I'm super sorry about this.
They're good. It's a little technical adjustments. But yeah, I wonder if again to our audiences, if you've seen Deadpool three or four times like us or multiple viewings, have you had like different experiences each time? Like I wonder if it's like, hey, it's still funny, or are you still enjoying it, or if you had kind of like interesting experiences. So it's like again, it was funny seeing how this movie was again still pretty crowded, still pretty packed, and 2 months after it came out, and I was just like, huh. I would assume it was repeat viewings. I could be wrong, but yeah, who knows? I wonder if they were this late to the game or just like, hey, I'll watch it before it leaves. Let's see if he's back. Nick, you back yet? All right, not yet. It's funny too. It's been a weird summer of like experiences. Me and Nick always like have like a joke or a laugh whenever we go see a movie at a screening or just we pay to go see a movie, because I feel like we always run into kind of like shenanigans or very kind of just like funny theater going patrons and even critics sometimes too that are very just like. It's a very interesting experience. But again, that's why we love going to the movies, because you might have some really wacky or kind of just like very interesting experiences. And like I said, I have a multiple this summer. I think I told this to Nick. I'll wait till it gets back, but I had a few experiences this summer.
I'm back. My bad.
Right,
My bad.
You're good. It's like because I told you about the guy with the air fryer, right? At Cuckoo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
okay.
wait, I mean, my bad. Excuse me. I keep stuttering, but sorry that I had to step away real quick. I thought I heard a noise somewhere in the house. I just had to go check that out. But
Hey, man.
coast is clear. And
Safety
please,
first.
please, edit this whole part out if you don't mind.
You're good, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
You are all good.
Can't
my
have
friend.
people knowing none of my business out there,
uh,
except for what I tell them. But yeah.
Fair enough. Did I tell you about the guys having the farting contest at Strange Darling?
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
okay, because I told my parents the other day, they started laughing that I thought to our audience too. So again, the theater that by my apartment is it's a Regal. It's the only Regal we have in Arizona and Gilbert. And I went to go see this movie Strange Darling. You have my full review coming out I think this week. I think I published it this week on a newsletter for everyone, but that on the way. Anyway, these two guys in front of me, they had to be in their 40s, and I was just like. And every 5 minutes, I hear, I go,
Disgusting.
and I'm just like, y'all are in your fucking late 40s, 50s. Like, come on now. And I was sitting right behind them, and I smelt it every time. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be shitting me, man. Literally. I'm just like, come on. And
that's
like,
foul, bro. Like
would
morally,
laugh.
that's
Yes.
foul.
And these are pleather seats. So you hear the
Ugh.
and I'm just like, yo, bro,
It means it's just sliding off in everyone else's noses.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's sliding off. So I'm just like, yeah. So that to me, I was like, okay, first the air fryer, now the two men grown men having farting contests. Like, what's going on here? And of course, our friend, the every time we go see a movie at a screening, it's like, yep, that's that. So we're definitely not no stranger to very interesting fellow moviegoers. I'll say that.
Yes, indeed. It's
But
unique people out there.
Speaking of farts, circling back to Bond. So yeah, Damien Chazelle. Do you think so? Out of all his movies, what have you seen of his filmography?
I saw some of Babylon. He did La La Land, right?
Yes, sir. Won the Oscar for.
I saw La La Land. I think did he do what else did he do? Not Birdman.
He did First Man with Ryan Gosling.
First Man. I did not see that, but I did see Birdman. I think that might be it. What else has he done?
Just Whiplash, Babylon. Sorry, Whiplash.
Oh yeah, Whiplash.
Whiplash.
I
La La Land.
think Whiplash is my favorite of his movies.
It really was for me for a long time, but Babylon is stuck with me in a very certain way because again, I love movies about movies and about like filmmaking and whatever. I think we all do. And it's one of those movies that just felt like so like Scorsese-esque and very just like a 3-hour cocaine bender. And I really did. I was like, because I was hearing mixed things about it. I was like, wow, everyone loved this filmmaker, and it didn't get the best reviews, and it flopped hard at the box office. But I remember I took Z to go see it. Z was like, this movie's 3.5 hours, and I was like, yes, Yes, yes.
It's cinema.
It's cinema, cinema. Exactly, Nick.
Yes,
You get it, man.
yes.
You get it. This is why you're an award-winning filmmaker. Exactly. Um,
It's stop it. But thank you.
but I really do love Babylon because of just the way, just like I love. Again, it was very Tarantino-esque at sometimes too. But yeah, Whiplash. I think Whiplash definitely is probably his best movie. I think with you on that, his best movie, but like, personal favorite. I really do like Babylon a lot. I think it's really very frenetic, very frenetic, and very just crazy. But just it's a really goes by really fast. Over a 3 hour movie.
Interesting. Okay, I gotta check that out.
It's
Because
they gotta watch
Whiplash
it.
for me, it was just kind of like just seeing how far this dude would go and
You're right.
how hard he was willing to be pushed. Like that's like insane, no Diddy. But I'm kind of like, dang, what if he did a Lex movie, like a Lex Luthor origin movie, and like you see him growing up, but it's like that kind of intense obsession type shit.
I could see it. I could see it. I mean, I can definitely see Damien Chazelle do that. But again,
That'd
you
be
know,
interesting.
you asked me on the ride back from our trip who you see as Lex Luthor. I mean, I think he's a little short, but J.K. Simmons, man, is a fucking good actor.
He would be an interesting Lex. He really would.
I want pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Wrong movie, J.K. Oh my bad. I want pictures of Superman.
He's a menace.
He's a menace. What do you want, a raise? Get out of here.
That was good. That was really good. Oh my god,
I,
that was dope.
I love those movies so much. I love him as J. Jonah Jameson. Also the fucking his best role to date is still the yellow Eminem.
I know that's insane. I couldn't believe that was him. I was like, this whole time.
And he was saying in a GQ interview, saying that as one of his most paid jobs ever is the yellow Eminem.
That's crazy.
But you know, just to top this off, I mean, I could definitely see him again because I've seen Sam Mendes. Who would have thought Sam Mendes was going to do a James Bond movie, and it worked. Spectre has its moments, but now Skyfall, obviously.
Yeah, like Skyfall was the best in my opinion because
for sure.
It felt very James Bond, but not in that typical formulaic way.
Yes,
because like all the James Bond movies more or less like are at the very least fun to watch, but it's always it always starts like mid mission and then it's like some downtime and then he gets his next assignment and then he does that and and then he wins at the end and then it's a happy ending and it was just kind of like it's cool, but Skyfall was just different. I remember, man, when the trailer dropped and it was just like he was doing that word association.
Yeah, I remember that trailer.
Oh my goodness,
I love that trailer.
It was just so dark and so mysterious, and just like it set the tone because it was kind of like, yo, I never seen nothing like this before as far as James Bond movies go. It just looked dark and heavy. And and then the movie was really dope because it wasn't the typical formula like that. Like it started mid mission, but it was the first Bond movie that I think I've seen that it got like really really personal with them. You know what I mean? It was just it was the most different. Inspector, it was kind of like it was cool. It was just it felt kind of flat at the end.
Exactly. It went to James Bondy
with Christoph Waltz's character. Yeah, like it was like this should have felt more impactful, that twist, and it just didn't. And I don't know if it's because the movie just didn't really handle it that well, or if it's because everybody had already kind of guessed who he was actually playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know.
And I read an article one time too that like I forgot, I think it came out that like Sam Mendes was like done. Like halfway through, he was just like, I'm done with this. Again, I don't blame him. I feel like you did do something special with Skyfall. I can't really blame you for that. But you definitely tell he was kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of done. But granted, though, I think he won an Oscar or a Golden Globe for 1917 afterwards. So again, I do think that Chazelle is definitely worthy of the filmmaking. I think it all depends on who he gets to. If again, he's also writer director himself. Will he write his own script and who will he cast? I could definitely see Damien Chazelle work with Henry Cavill. That'd be fucking awesome. It's all about who we can cast as Bond and also who we can like just really. Again, I can also see J.K. Simmons play a villain too. Again, going back to Whiplash, again, come on, Bond, not my tempo. So I definitely can see like,
Loki. What if he's the Bond villain for that movie?
I could see it, man. I could see it. But to your point though, to your question right there, took this a few weeks ago when we watched the last movie, No Time to Die. I really do want to see go back to a physical villain. I want to see like a fist fight with
Yeah.
Bond and I don't want to see another like I'm a scientist. I'm a worldwide. I don't want to see that. I just
Yeah,
want to
or like
see.
I'm your philosophical opposite, but I'm all like Zen and
Yes.
everything. Because I'm with you.
Yes.
Rami Malek played a really cool
Yeah.
villain. And I liked him a lot, but I remember we had talked about it. Like, wouldn't it be interesting if Dave Bautista's character, instead of him being Inspector, he was the main villain
Yes.
in No Time
Yes.
to Die? But it was basically he was doing like all of the same stuff, and he had the same philosophy. But when it was time to have the final fight at the end, it's a little bit more. You're a little bit more on edge because this is Bond literally at his oldest, and he was
Yes.
out of the game for like 5 years, and this is his first mission back, and his first fight back is this just hulking dude
Mm-hmm.
that's like 2 feet taller than him.
Mm-hmm.
That last fight would have been like, oh my god, it would be like how when Bill was fighting Bane
Yes.
in Dark Knight
Yes.
Rises, it would have been like, yo, he's getting his ass whooped.
Exactly. It just.
It would just be
Mhm.
tragic to watch and insane.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Like that. And I really would love to see a very just kind of like physical threat to Bond. But again, I would not mind seeing Damien Chazelle do this. I think he's a talented filmmaker. Again, I really do like all his movies. I didn't care for First Man. I was really bored with that. I thought the pacing of the movie just dragged, just
Mm.
fucking dragged, dude. So I didn't really care for that movie. I remember watching during COVID. I was like, this is so boring. And notice to the story, obviously, of the first moon launch, the moon landing. Obviously, again, I know that's still an incredible achievement, but the movie could have been so much more like race against time, kind of like Oppenheimer in a way, like race
Mm.
against like that, whatever. And it felt more of a family drama soap opera at times. I'm just like, okay, I get it, but it definitely to me was very disappointing. So, yeah, I can see it. I can definitely see Giselle do it. But to our audience, let us know in the comments, either on YouTube or Spotify, Apple, whatever. Do you think Giselle would be a good choice for Bond? Who would you cast as Bond? Who would you cast as a villain as Bond? Let us know in the comments below, as well as our podcast comment section. Alrighty, my friend. As I said to all you guys too, we have two crazily different movies to review for you all on this week's podcast. Nick, as you were my co-maestro, co-captain of this podcast, what film would you like to review first?
You know what? Oh, this is a tough one, dang. Because you know what? Let's try to end on maybe a more positive note with my old ass,
Okay.
and we'll start off with The Substance.
Oh man, the substance. I like your thought process, my friend. I like your choice. I like your
I I
choice.
I chose peace today.
Let me pull up the IMDb. So for all our listeners in our audience, you're like, what the hell is the substance?
Mhm.
And that's a very good question. You know why? Because a few weeks ago, me and Nick were like, the hell's a substance? And it wasn't until I was hearing things about it, out of the film festival circuit. I think it was Venice and TIFF, and then our lovely publicist, who we adore so much, the lovely Lee. She goes, "Hey, put this one in our email. Put this one on your radar, guys." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, Dennis Quaid. I was like, interesting. And then you just heard a lot of it out of the festivals, like, yo, this movie's fucking bonkers. Like, oh my God, this movie is insane. And I was telling Nick, I'm like, yo, man, this movie sounds crazy. Go see it as the press. And of course, you're like, I'm down, let's go see it. But again,
Yo,
I told Nick too, I'm like, let's go on this one blind. Don't watch any of the trailers. The only thing, I don't know about you, the only thing I saw was like a YouTube, like really quick ad before watching another video was like, the narration goes, ever dreamed of a better version of yourself? And that was
mhm.
it. And I was like, okay. It's a picture of Demi Moore. And I was like, interesting. But I was telling you,
The
it was like,
literal only thing
yes.
I saw of it was the poster when we got to the theater.
So rolling blind. You're rolling
For real.
blind.
I went in that theater with my eyes closed.
You had, what am I walking into? It's a trap. um, so what I think me and Nick like to do a lot recently, again, I speak for both of us, my friend, is that like you and I have definitely enjoyed the summer going to things blind. Certain movies going into like not knowing much about it, kind of an open mind, obviously. Like even with Long Legs, we're like going in pretty blind for the most part.
Yeah.
So so we were hearing great things about this movie. I was listening to Josh Harwood's podcast, Happy Sad Confused, and even he was saying it was, yo, this movie's fucking wild. And I was like, okay. So I was looking forward to seeing it, and obviously it was we go to these press screenings. Either it's with an audience, how we saw Speak No Evil, the amazing Night Swim. Just kidding.
The classic, iconic Night Swim.
The modern classic Night Swim, everybody. But even like Speak No Evil, we said last week in our review for Speak No Evil last week that the audience was like cheering and howling. It was like, oh my gosh, don't go in there. And so yeah, sometimes we'll see a movie with an audience, or just be us critics, and also in this our reviewers. And this time it's us reviewers and critics. We walked in, whatever, and I remember I asked Lee, I was like, she goes, it's pretty wild. She already saw it already. I was like, oh, okay. So she goes, it's pretty wild. She goes, it's pretty crazy. And I was like, all right. And you and I were like, all right, then here we go. So again, the substance. The substance is about a fading celebrity decides to use a black market drug, a cell replicating substance that temporarily creates a younger, better version of herself. Like I said, too, this is starring Margaret Qualley, Demi Moore, Dennis Quaid. My friend, Nick, like I said, man, this was one of the most bonkers movies we've seen in a very long time. So I'm starting with you. What are your thoughts on The Substance?
So, okay, this might sound a little wild, but hear me out. The movie has a very, like, just in your face, disgusting visual style to it at some points, but it's done in a very well way because it works for the story, because it's depicting how some of these characters are, or possibly even how they, well, no, I won't say that, but it's just depicting like how they're viewed at some points. You know what I mean? And like Dennis Quaid's character, this isn't a spoiler, but there's a scene where he's eating shrimp, and his face is all up in the camera. It's the butter all up on his lips and on his cheeks, and he's dipping it in this heavy ass, just thick ass like butter or cheese sauce, whatever the fuck that was. It was just nasty, wiping his hands all on the table. And then he saw his buddy got up and patted him on the back. Didn't even clean his hands or nothing like that. And I leaned over to Doug. I was like, his friend probably did the same exact thing to him, just like eating like fingers all nasty, and then just like patting him on this expensive looking suit. But the overall though, the story was really well done. How Doug had mentioned earlier, the fading star, it was kind of like, it just felt almost like a gradual like weird dream. It was just kind of like, it was really insane. The editing style was very distinct. Like I really loved how they did that, and I feel like I don't really notice editing that much, but this one, it was just kind of, it was very, I guess, like visually psychological, if that makes sense, because it was like if someone's feeling kind of like dizzy, they shake the camera in such a way that I haven't seen before, and it's like, wow, that looks like how I feel sometimes, like when I'm feeling like that, when I be getting sick sometimes, you know what I mean? And the ending is just, it is just bonkers. It is insane, because there was a point where you think the movie's over, and then it kind of just keeps going, but it's like, okay, huh, but like when it keeps going, it doesn't overstay its welcome, if that makes sense. It's just like, well, this is the natural progression of it, and it's crazy, it's insane. But I don't even know what genre I would put this in necessarily. It's a very unique film, and yeah, I had a great experience watching it, because again, I went in blind. Like I didn't know. I only knew the cast. I didn't know anything about the plot of the story. I just knew the title and the cast, and then I saw the poster, which was still kind of vague. One, like literally right in front of the door to the theater, so I had no idea what type of movie this was going to be. And I feel like that's what made it fun, especially being in a theater, because I just love the movie theater experience. It's always a magical time. But the movie was just insane, but it was good though. I loved it. It just It was dope. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I liked it a lot.
I loved how you told us the lead our out reaction to. You said this is almost like a cautionary tale as well, which
Dang, yeah, yeah, yeah.
which you
I
said.
forgot that I said that.
Yeah, hey man, I'm
That's
quoting the great.
deep.
Hey man, the great Nick man gave some killer quotes, man. The perfect quotes.
I just
Um,
be saying so much stuff, so it's hard for me to keep track. I just be talking all the
well,
time.
can I also say this? I hope you don't mind me saying this. That I remember you were saying that you have a pretty good stomach when you watch movies like this, but the first time you said
Oh
that you
yeah.
felt very queasy. You felt very like.
Yeah, because I basically grew up watching just like crazy violent movies. And so like there came a point where like, like I think like my teens, early 20s, with some violent movie scenes, people are like, oh man, like I just can't watch this. It's just, oh man, it makes my stomach queasy. Ugh, ugh, ugh. I'm kind of like, man, that's nothing. That's nothing. I was watching this as a kid on the daily. Like it was like this is nothing to me. So like in this movie, there's a scene that takes place and it's like it's just so insane. And you think never in your wildest dreams would you have assumed that it would like take this turn. Um and so it just kind of like it just stays there. It's just kind of like, oh my God. And it was the first time ever in any movie in my entire life where I felt my stomach just turning, where I was getting actually nauseous in the theater. It was crazy. And that's kind of what I love about the movie. Like it just fucking goes there.
it pulls no punches.
It
It
pulls no
pulls no
punch.
punches.
Exactly. Perfectly said.
Yeah.
Perfectly said.
It pulls no punches. Yeah, I told this to Lee. I told this in our after reaction too. The best way I can describe this movie is you took the Barbie movie, the Barbie that
Mm.
everyone loved, but the Barbie movie took the red pill from the Matrix. This is what it would be.
Yep.
A hundred
It's
percent.
it's like if Darren Aronofsky
Yes, that's what you said. Yes,
made the
yes,
Barbie and he's like, you know what, let me sprinkle a little bit of Requiem for a Dream up in there.
yes, yes. That's spot on, dude. Spot the fuck
Barbie,
on.
Requiem
Real
for a Dream, the substance,
substance.
semicolon, the movie, period, part one.
Part one. Oh my gosh. So it's a unplanned trilogy.
Yeah.
This movie. Again, this movie is by far one of the most bonkers, crazy, in a word, in a way, grotesque, but in a good way, and also one of the
Yeah.
most original films I think you and I have seen in a very long time. I love the movie Barbarian so much. Even back then, I was like, this movie's fucking bonkers. And listen, I love Barbarian so much. One of my favorite movies of the past 10 years.
Hmm.
But this movie takes bonkers and insane to a whole new level.
Bro.
And
Oh my God.
the entire time, you and I look at each other, we're like, is this actually happening? What the fuck? And
There was a point I couldn't even fathom what was going on.
and
To say it was incomprehensible would be an
yeah,
understatement.
that's well said. It's hard to it's really hard. Again, we're keeping this non-spoiler, so I would hope, and then the next week we should probably do a spoiler discussion after it comes out.
I'm with that. Let's watch it again.
Dude, this movie, dude, I would be so down. It's gonna be
Let's watch it and then
crazy.
immediately watch Requiem for a Dream right after.
Yeah, we're gonna be watching Seinfeld the past week after that.
Yeah, that would
A
be the
palate
craziest
cleanser.
fucking double feature.
It's a
Oh
palate
my
cleanser.
God.
This movie is just you do not know what you think you're walking into, and I'll be honest with that because the whole time us obviously the audience is like, "Yeah, okay, where is it going?" And you really have no idea where it's gonna go, and it gets crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier. But I will say though, if you have a very what's the correct word? A weak stomach. This
Hmm.
movie is not for you. Is not for you. And even like something what Nick said too, that we've seen some pretty gnarly shit the past couple of years. We're like, ooh, but this you really got to have a strong stomach. Because the times where I was like, and what I love about the screening, especially the experience, obviously, because again, it was a room full of critics. There was no GA. It was critics and press only, and I loved. I loved hearing that the first row critics, when there were certain scenes, all you heard was, no, no, and just hearing that from a critic screening, a press screening, is hilarious, but
Yeah,
just like
let you know how good it is.
whoa. Again, like I said too, when we saw Speak No Evil last week, it was vain. It was press and also general admission, obviously. So it was like just the average movie going fan base, and they were screaming too. That's always fun. But to sit in a room with reviewers and critics and podcasters like us, and people just reacting the way they did, it was just a very out of body experience. You're just like, wow, the way this movie is getting a reaction out of reviewers, critics, and podcasters is a big testament to the movie itself and just like the gnarly behavior of this movie, and also to the filmmaker. I'm blanking on her name. She's a French director. I'm probably gonna butcher her name. Her name is
Caroline
Fargot.
Fargaya?
Yeah,
Please forgive us.
yeah. We don't speak French, so forgive us. Forgeot.
Maybe
Fal-
Fargé.
Fallait à deux.
Please forgive us. We don't know how to pronounce your name,
No.
but it was truly a fantastic film. It was insane.
She really
Actually,
has. Go ahead.
no. Now that I think about it, because you said she's French,
Yeah, we.
I think there was this French. I believe it was a French movie. No, yeah, it was a French movie that came out a few years ago. It's called Titane. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's Now that I think about it, it's kind of got those vibes because that movie also kind of starts one way and then just goes this crazy, insane way where you're like, I have no idea
Really?
how or why it's going here, but it's quite compelling to watch.
Interesting.
I'd recommend it. Check it out.
Titanic.
Check it
Okay,
out.
add it to my list. You can watch it on. Oh, it's on Hulu. Okay, so I'll add to my list. This movie reminded me a lot the whole time I'm watching it. It was very Kubrick-esque because the opening
Oh,
shot.
yeah.
There's a certain opening shot with a carpet, and I was like to Nick, I was like, Shining. And you're like, oh yeah. And it was very Shining, very Kubrick-esque. But just the way this movie's conducted, the way it's kind of structured into storytelling, it very felt Kubrick inspired, very kind of like Clockwork Orange in a way, or a little bit of 2001. But if
Yeah.
2001 was on shrooms the entire time, and it was very just like, yo, what? But again, I really do have to give props to this filmmaker, and also again, I don't really know this studio is Mubi. Yeah, not Tubi, but Mubi. So maybe Tubi's better brother
Yes.
or better sibling.
Mubi.
Yeah. And I was very curious. I was like, Mubi, interesting. But this movie is a big risk. This movie is a very big risk. It's very ambiguous and very ambitious. And I feel like this movie probably was pitched to other studios and they were like, oh, hell no. But again, I really have to give Mubi and the production companies involved, a lot of props because this movie is very ambiguous, very ambitious. And again, it's also for the theatrical experience. It's made for the big screen. So I love that this movie, as bonkers as it is, was made for the big screen, made by a really kind of unknown director, has a pretty well cast. But also, too, what the whole time watching this movie, it is a commentary on aging in Hollywood and staying relevant. Because I feel like,
Self-image.
self-image to a whole new level. Exactly, bro. Self-image to a whole new level, staying relevant in Hollywood. How do you stay kind of like in the spotlight? And also too, to Nick's point, he said that at the movie too, it's a cautionary tale, but also it's a commentary on taking experimental drugs and taking drugs that you really don't get familiar with too. Like again, I don't want to call anything out, but I think there's certain drugs where it's like sometimes they're kind of like Limitless. Remember Limitless? Like, yes, it's not really FDA approved, but it's like it's on its way, whatever. But how do you know? Like, how do you know? Because I feel like it's not like ibuprofen. It's not Advil. It's not Tylenol. It's like, how do we know for a drug that's only been out for less than a year or so new? Yeah, in the movie, it's a black market drug, so even more sketchier.
Why would you take some and you don't know what it is?
Yeah, and that's something that I think we're all told, like, don't take shit you don't know where it came from, and you got to be careful, especially nowadays where how certain drugs, or if it's laced with something or whatever, you don't really know the full context of it all, is very lethal, very dangerous. And this movie is kind of like a commentary on like, just be a little more cautious, be a little more mindful of the drugs you're taking if you don't really know too much about it. But the movie really is like definitely, again, to exploit cautionary tale, but also a commentary on that in so many different ways. And also there's a very, again, not trying to like, okay, keep it down, spoiler, but there was one scene that was very Alien-esque. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's on the poster. It's regarding a back. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. And when it happens, you're just like, ooh, it reminds me of like the xenomorph thing in Alien. You're just like, ooh, brother, ooh,
What's that, brother?
brother, ooh, the way that director like films it, it's very graphic. It's very in your face. And I was like, my back. I was like, oh. I was like, oh. I was just like, I was getting like kind of like the thing, but again, that's just
That's
the
kind of
that's
rough.
that's nothing compared to what we see in the rest of the movie. I mean, again, there's some gnarly shit. You're just like, and again, I just love being. I love that we were in a room full of critics and podcasters and reviewers, just all having the same kind of
Everybody was hollering.
yes, hollering, same visceral reaction, just like no, or like no, ooh, no, 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 and even talking after the movie too, where our friend Seth was like, "Bro, the fucking needles," and I was like, "Not the needles, man." Ooh,
Oh man.
but also just walking out of the movie too, we were all just like just jazzed up about what we just saw, and I feel like that's the power of a good film, of a good filmmaker, and a good film that you walk out of a theater like that, just so amped up of like what the fuck we just watched? I mean, this movie was fucking gnarly. This movie was crazy.
No,
um,
that was insane.
and
It was really an experience.
it was really an experience. It was just like man. And then when we went away that weekend, the movie was still on our mind. I know we talked about it when we were away that last weekend. Of just like man, that shit was fucking crazy. And I would definitely recommend again if you are a horror, if you're a fan of body horror, horror thriller. Would you call this a mystery?
I would call it. It has mysterious elements, but I would call it more of a psychological body horror thriller.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or no, yeah, because that's kind of that implies mystery and suspense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because damn,
It's
it was wild. It was again. It was quite the experience.
yeah. It's one that will definitely stick with us for a long time. And I just kept thinking about it, and I was like, man, oh man, I I'm curious to see because again, it's an again. I was telling this to someone the other day too. I think 2024 has been a great year for original filmmaking, like a great
Hmm.
year for original filmmaking. I mean, you and I have seen some amazing original films this year, like The Bike Riders and Monkey Man, and just I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Again, I was too crazy about it, but Long Legs still an original indie film like that, movie like this. Obviously, Blink Twice and My Old Ass. Like we've seen a lot of just amazing, great original films this year. But again, just walking into a theater like this, seeing a movie like this that could have been a streaming movie, could have been Hulu or Shutter or Netflix, whatever. That no, it was made for the big screen, and I do think that this probably won't get a really big release this weekend. But to our audience, if you're really into like horror, or you said too, Nick said the body horror kind of horror and like suspense movie. You definitely should see this movie opening weekend. Support original filmmaking, support indie filmmaking like this.
Yes.
I think this filmmaker has a lot of a great future ahead of her, if you ask me. And again, too, is that I thought Demi Moore was really good. Then as Quaid, like I said, the scene that is Quaid in the fucking shrimp, dude. I felt just so uncomfortable where I was just like,
That was
stop,
nasty.
just
And I
stop,
like
bro.
shrimp,
Me too.
but that just bro, because I think that was like adding to
ugh,
the nausea of the movie.
ugh.
I'd watch it again though. I'm not gonna lie,
I,
but that scene, it was kind of like, ugh.
the fucking the dipping sauce too. That I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it's like, I was like, yo, bro, relax.
It's just the noises too. Just like I feel like so. I feel like so sick. I feel so uncomfortable. I feel so
Yeah, like
violated.
I felt so overwhelmed by it. Like he was eating it like his life depended on it. I have to eat this as fast as I can, otherwise the world
Ugh,
will explode. Like, but he was like enjoying it at the same time.
ugh,
Just it was just it was greedy, it was gluttonous, but that was the point of his character. So
yeah.
that's kind of that's one of the things that works well with the movie is that it visually shows you like kind of who characters are, but also like through their actions like that, but very
Yes.
distinctly. Because he was just like this loud, boastful, just really out there like character. And one of the ways that they showed that was just like even the first scene, he just barges in this room and his mouth is all up in the camera,
Yeah. It
and
was
it's kind of like
very.
it's a little of that like fish islands where it kind of like it kind of bends, and it was doing that same thing when he was eating the shrimp, if I remember correctly, where it's just all in your face, just greasy, just munching on it, slurping on it, man, just nasty, greasy,
Ugh.
disgusting.
Yeah.
But it was good filmmaking though,
It
if you
was.
catch my if you know what I mean.
It definitely made you feel a certain way, and that's no joke. But I do think the star of this movie again. I haven't seen Demi Moore in a movie in like probably forever.
Yeah,
Um,
it's been a minute.
it's been a long, it's been a fat minute. So I really thought she was good in this. Because I think it's definitely her movie to an extent. But the star of this movie is definitely Margaret Qualley. Margaret Qualley in this is
Yeah.
very just
In more ways than one, she does kind of just take over.
yes, on the nose, yes,
Yeah.
yes, and just the way she's playing this character, and it's very night and day to a certain degree, to a certain extent aspect of the movie, but just the way that Margaret Qualley plays this character, it's just like it's definitely in a way again very Kubrick like Clockwork Orange, but it's also kind of like in the Lighthouse, very the descent into the
Hmm.
madness in a way, and it's just
Interesting.
like
Yeah.
just the deeper you go, you're just like stop, stop, stop.
It's like, please.
Please, what more do you want from me?
I
But yeah,
wasn't built for this.
I wasn't built for this. um,
Nah, that movie was insane.
it's a trip. It's a trip. But again, I guess my only con, yeah, I'll probably say one for the non-spoiler thing, but it has to do with an image of somebody. I'll get back for a non-spoiler for a spoiler discussion about it. But I will say it's about 2.5 hours. I thought it was just a little long. But it wasn't to a point where I was like, oh my god, fucking get on with it. I felt
Mm.
just a drag, just a tad bit. But for a 2.5 hour movie, I think you and I both said the pace of it really goes. It goes. It just like you're on this you're buckle in because you're in this fucking ride for like 2.5 hours and it
It's
goes.
nonstop, but it's nonstop for a while.
Yeah, and at the end too. To Nick's point too, the end you're like, okay, this is it, and it was like, wait, and
Yeah, it was very Return of the Kings esque,
oh, I like that. I like it.
because it's like, okay, bet it's the end. Oh wait, okay, no, this is the end.
Got one more
Oh
for you.
no, gotcha. Yeah, LeBron's like, you know, here go two more for Al. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, so it had like 6 endings, but it was very very well done. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
What would you give it?
You know what? I would give it just a straight up A. Fuck it. Hell yeah. An A. Pardon my language. Oh my goodness.
No.
But an A, because it just the main thing ultimately at the end of the day that I like about this movie is that it just went there full force.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of the time movies hold back, and I don't know if that's because they have to or they just feel like they have to, but because a lot of the times I'm like, dang, like they really could have done this, but they just kind of like they stepped up to the door but then didn't go through, you know what I mean? But this movie, The Substance, this movie was just went there, man. Like, and it just, how you said earlier, it didn't hold back. It didn't pull any punches.
It didn't. It was very bold.
It was
very
very bold. It was bold, and it was in your face, and it was like just like when you know when you stomp after you say some shit, you argue with someone. I
Yeah.
said no.
I said no.
Yeah, and
Did you
you stomp
hear
at the
me?
same time just to like, and it's like ooh the and then the ground rumble. Ooh.
Did I stutter?
Yeah, it's like I'm making a point. Like it was that was kind of how this movie was. Very in your face, like, hey, this is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Period.
Period.
End of
Deal
story.
with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Me too. I loved it. It's a movie that I just it makes you feel a certain way, without a doubt. But I am giving this movie, I think it's probably in my top 10 when the year ends. I think when we all do our top 10 of the year, we do the end of the year recap. I think it's definitely been my top 10. I'm giving this really a solid, I'm teetering again, 8.5 out of or 9. I'm really just, I'm in between. Yeah, and a few little nitpicks with it, but yeah, I'm giving this really a solid 8.5 out of 10. I think it's definitely worth seeing in theaters, full price, opening weekend, opening nights. If you can't see it with the crowd, is one that really kind of, I wouldn't say crowd pleasing, but crowd experience is what I'll say.
Yeah.
That the best way to see this movie is with the crowd, like opening night with a room full of horror people, horror fans, whatever. But I will say this though, Nick, and I think this is kind of like safe to say as well. I think despite the outcome of the box office this weekend, see how well it does. It's for sure going to be a cult classic for sure, no doubt.
Oh yeah.
No doubt.
It will be beloved.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yes.
It's a movie that I think in college when we had that sex and violence class, they would show this movie.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
Oh hell yeah, because there's hella discussions to be had about this movie.
Yes, hell of discussions. Again, we're gonna do a spoiler talk about it in the next few weeks. But yeah, it's a bonkers movie, guys. We're not bullshitting you. It's wild, but kudos to everyone involved. Again, it's a very very well made movie. But also too, I really do love how just again it went there. Like I said, it went there and held no punches. So definitely put the substance on your radar. Yeah, put on your radar for sure. But yeah, guys, it's out this weekend. All right, my friends, tuning into the last part of our review episode this week. We have another very wildly different movie, more of a feel good, not bonkers, not insane movie, and that is My Old Ass. And if you're asking what is My Old Ass, other than our old asses, it is My Old Ass is about a mushroom trip brings free-spirited Elliot face-to-face with her 39-year-old self. But when Elliot's quote-unquote old ass delivers warnings to her younger self, Elliot realizes she has to rethink everything about her life, her family, and love. Nick, I know you really adored this movie when we saw it a few weeks ago at the screening. What did you think of My Old Ass?
So, like you said, it was very heartwarming. It just the thing that worked the best about this movie for me was it really kind of like had me in the character's shoes in a way that I haven't really felt with any other movie before. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I'm like not to get all existential, but I'm 26 right now, and it's like I'm kind of like looking back, like dang, I've kind of it's like these past 26 years went by fast. You know what I mean? Excuse me. You know what I mean? So I find myself reflecting a lot and just trying to like, like remember the lessons that I learned growing up. Remember like the experiences that I had, like where I came from, the people in my life, like da. So with this movie, it was kind of like the character dealt with something similar, but in a more literal way, because like you said, her 39-year-old self came like from the future to her present and is like trying to give her, as you saw in the trailer, this advice like, hey, do this, but don't do that, da 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 da. And it gets you thinking, like, man, if I could talk to my younger self, what would I tell them? Would I tell them anything? And it's fun because it just you can't help but again put yourself in that character's shoes and just wonder what you would do in that situation. And to see her journey was really fascinating because it felt so realistic. And even just seeing how she communicated with her family and just how, kind of like flawed and awkward it could be sometimes, and how sometimes you're told maybe you're not supposed to do something, but something just compels you to do it anyway. Yeah. Like you just can't help yourself. You're like, I just gotta do it. Fuck it. So then you do it, and maybe it'll have a positive outcome, maybe it'll have a negative outcome, but you never know unless you do it. Mm-hmm. And it's it goes into that a little bit, as far as life and everything. But no, it did all of those things very, very well. And it was funny at times, it was dramatic and serious when it needed to be, but none of those vibes ever clashed with each other. It was all very fluid and very organic, like I said, realistic. So it was very well done. Yes, bravo.
Yeah, it's a really cute movie. It's very cute. It's very feel good. I told this to Lee, also our out of theater reaction too. I said it reminded me a lot of the Greta Gerwig films, like Lady Bird a little bit, as well as the Duplass brothers, and they did some really kind of like interesting kind of like coming of age movies too. And if you don't know Duplass brothers, the more Jay Duplass, I think, is more of an actor now than filmmaker. What would you guys know?
What's he done? What have they done?
Duplass, let's see. As filmmakers, they done movies like a movie called Cyrus with Jonah Hill and John C. Reilly. They did a very they did a movie called Jeff Who Lives at Home with Ed Helm, Jason Segel. Mostly indie films, mostly very indie.
I've seen like I've heard about those movies, but I haven't ever had the chance to watch them.
Yeah, or maybe like Baghead, which is very very strange, but also starring Greta Gerwig. But it's very kind of the quirky, very kind of just like the indie filmmaker kind of vibe, low budget filmmaker. But I think sorry, Mark is the popular actor now. Mark was in a movie called Safety Not Guaranteed, also with Aubrey Plaza. Jake Johnson. It's kind of like directed by Colin Trevorrow, who did Jurassic World.
Okay.
It's like that movie's about like he was like, oh, I can time travel, and he puts an ad on it, on a newspaper like, hey, looking for a fellow time traveler, go with me on this crazy mission. Must have experience, whatever. Safety not guaranteed. And everyone's like, it's a cute movie. It's very very indie, very kind of low budget, but it's again, I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but it's very about like kind of just like, you know, what you believe in and like, you know, legacy and stuff like that. It's a very quirky movie, but also very just like makes you think of like, oh, wait a second. He's also in the movie, the show The Morning Show. He was in Zero Dark 30. He was in a lot of like Noah Baumbach movies. Jason Reitman movies. Oh, he's also in the show called The League. So again, a bit of a quirky guy, but him and Greta Gerwig have very similar filmmaking styles as well, very kind of similar acting chops, you would say. But also watching this too, you know, watching it, it reminded me of the movies that, you know, the early Fox Searchlight days, you know, very kind of early Wes Anderson, very kind of Jared Hess, who did Napoleon Dynamite, very kind of just like the early Fox Searchlight days of kind of just like the indie, very low budget coming of age stories. And I feel like there hasn't really a good coming of age story, I think, since like Everybody Wants Some, which that's 8 years ago, which is hard to believe. So
the Linklater film, yes,
one of my favorite movies of all fucking time, and I love that movie. But I don't think we've seen a really good like coming of age. Well, Dope was pretty good, but Dope was 2015, so yeah, almost 10 years, which is hard to believe. 10 years, I caramba. I caramba. But you know, just seeing again, I really do. You know, I'm probably a fucking broken record at this point too. But the fact that Amazon really is investing in a lot of original filmmaking like this for the big screen is very refreshing to watch. You know, stuff like this and Challengers and Blink Twice. Obviously, like 3 movies could have been like, you know what, Prime Video is cool. That's it, whatever. Because Amazon has had a lot of content out this summer of like straight to Amazon Prime Video, and that could have been one of these movies too. But for some reason, I feel like they are very committed to the theatrical experience and putting out movies like this, or Blink Twice, or Challengers. Just shows how committed they are to the theatrical experience. And why I say that is because, you know, Apple TV just did something very strange to me, if you ask me, because they're going to put out a movie called Wolves with Brad Pitt and George Clooney, right? And that was that was supposed to be a theatrical movie. They did some kind of like weird Netflix shit and goes, nope, just kidding. 1 week in theaters and on Apple TV the week after. And I was like, wait, what? And
just 1 week in theater? They're like, why?
Well,
why would you do that?
So here's why I heard why. Because of how I mean, trying to be nice, how poorly their movies did in theaters this summer. Like Fly Me to the Moon did not do well. A movie that you and I love, Argyle, did not do well at all.
Yeah, true.
Napoleon did not do well at all. The Killers of the Flower Moon, which was a big Oscar, was being very loved by critics and reviewers, but box office wise did not do really well. So it just it's strange to like, you know, because I've been praising Apple a lot this past year, as you know. Is like I love their motto of we're going to partner with the studio and put out in theaters. But out of nowhere, they said with Wolves, nope, we're canceling the release. And I bet you, again, this is speculation, I bet you like the Regals, the AMCs were like, what the hell? Like, we had a deal, and also we're promoting your movies in our theaters with posters and shit and trailers. Like, what the fuck? And I know that Netflix not get along well with the Regals and the AMC's. Harkins is independently owned, so Harkins can show movies like a Knives Out 2 or a Wolves or a Hitman or a Rebel Moon. But the other major theaters will not show those movies. Again, business is business. I get it. Streaming has very changed a lot of things. Obviously, it's the way of the business. But I was very surprised that a movie with two big stars, Brad Pitt and George Clooney, who are still opening films to a degree, and made by John Watts, fresh off the Spider-Man trilogy, you would think that like they would show that to a degree, but no, I'm surprised. But I really do give props to Amazon for really kind of still committing into their original filmmaking like this for the big screen.
Hell yeah.
It's a feel good movie. I gotta say too, it's funny because at the movie ended, you're like, who made that movie? It's Megan Park. You're like, who is that? I'm like, oh, she was the waitress in Central Intelligence.
That was insane because I was like, yo, that's kind of dope because like it was such a good movie. So it's like, wow, look how far she came. And this is me honestly not knowing anything about her journey to making this movie, but it's just like I was kind of like it. I was like knowing when people go from like in front of the camera to behind the camera. I just something about that just fascinates me, and I really admire that because it seems like it's such like a daunting task.
Me too.
A daunting yet exciting task, and certainly a fulfilling one. But yeah. Again, it was a great movie. So
yeah, and it shows range. To your point, it shows range from going from front of the camera to behind the camera. And she made a movie a few years ago. I watched with Z. It's a heavy movie because it's about school shootings, it's a very 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 intense movie. It's young. I think it's like Jenna Ortega before she blew up, as well as Maddie Ziegler, who became famous for her dancing, obviously. It's a very intense movie, very intense. It just sticks with you. You're like, ooh. It's not one that I would watch again, but it's very heavy on the subject matter of school shooting and just it's a tough watch, but also a very important watch because of that same reason. But with this, I feel like Megan Park is definitely channeling her Linklater, Greta Gerwig, Wes Anderson vibe, whatever, too. And to your point, too, not knowing much about her, the cast, too. The biggest name of this movie is Aubrey Plaza. And it's not a spoiler, but just a heads up, she's not really in the movie as long as you think she's in it. And that's also testament to her as an actress, but also, too, that this movie is Maisie Stella, who plays Elliot. And and again, for a 21-year-old actress, and she's a bright future ahead of her too. But again, I like that we didn't really know who the actress was. It wasn't Florence Pugh, it wasn't Zendaya. It wasn't Jenna Ortega. It was someone that we didn't really know who she was as an actress. But it shows her range and a pretty good talent, I would say. To look out for. But I think also too, the trailer didn't really show too much of the love story, which I kind of thought was pretty smart. That like the movie kind of was just like about this girl's kind of what she's going through, trying to leave this small town. She wants to do this, she wants to do that, whatever. But things change obviously, and it's showing her how she adapts to certain things in her life. In romance, but also her family tragedy and life, whatever. It's to your point, it makes you think too, Ken. It makes you think of like, what if you met your older version? What if you talked to your younger version? What would you say? What would you talk about? Whatever. And it makes you think. I mean, after the movie, I had a convo about it. We were like, what would we say? Like, interesting. What would we say about this? Whatever. But again, a feel-good movie for sure. I hope it does well at the box office. Again, I love seeing original films like this do well, but similar to The Substance, I would say also this probably will be a cult classic, down the road that like kind of like again, Dazed and Confused wasn't a big hit when it came out. It's a beloved movie now. Richmond High, Fast Times at Richmond High wasn't a big hit when it came out. It's a beloved cult classic now too. So I think a lot of these coming of age stories just have a great second life in terms of just kind of like audience following it afterwards. And both these movies are getting phenomenal reviews, which is amazing and rightfully so. So I really do hope this movie does well, and definitely word of mouth will definitely help it a lot too. Again, it's a feel good movie, guys. Again, I feel like you and I have seen some pretty heavy movies the past couple of weeks with
oh my god, yeah,
with Blink Twice and Speak No Evil and Alien Romulus and then Substance, whatever. But seeing this was like kind of like a can breathe. Like, okay. We can breathe now. Like this is definitely like a fresh breath of fresh air. Just like very cute, very feel good, or whatever. And again, the supporting cast is really good too. Everyone is really really cute, very bubbly. Adds to Elliot
There weren't
story.
any flat performances in
There
this
wasn't.
movie.
There wasn't. I agree with 100%. There wasn't.
Like everybody's personality was, it was like their own, like, it wasn't any like flat, stale dialogue. Everything just felt very, realistic and kind of relatable and funny and
Yeah.
it was just so well done.
It's
Yeah, man.
it was well crafted. I think to you and I who want to like direct and write stuff, it's very inspiring to us as well as aspiring
Yes.
filmmakers. And that's credits to Megan Park's direction and her love for filmmaking and her storytelling for sure. But yeah, it's cute. It's a really cute movie. Again, it reminded me a lot of like the early Fox Searchlight days. Again, really good soundtrack as well. Really funny kind of music moments. Again, keep it non-spoiler. The one gripe I had with it though, and I
Oh,
told
I'm already knowing. I'm
and,
already knowing what it is.
in our out of theater reaction, again, it says an out of theater reaction, but in my tweet too is that I kind of wish they explained the quote unquote sci-fi element a bit more. You know what I'm talking? Again, keeping this non spoiler for all you guys because it's definitely worth the watch. They just there's certain things you're like, wait, what? Like how? Wait, hold up now, what? Because they established this, but then something else happens later on towards the end. You're like, wait, hold up now. And to your point, Nick, you were talking about in our reaction. You were like, it's more about the how, not the why. Sorry, the why, not the how.
Yeah. Let me pose this.
Okay.
This is the theory I came up with just now.
Okay.
And this isn't going to spoil the movie, but it's like, what if, and bear with me on this one. What if Aubrey Plaza, because this would kind of go into your theory. What if Aubrey Plaza's character isn't actually the older version of her? What if she's just some lady that kind of just came along and was like, let me just like prank this character or something like that? Because you notice like she was never really around when anyone else was around. Or like if other people were like at the beginning, like they were all like unconscious. And it was like, oh man, like it was my oldest or whatever. They're like, oh yeah, that's whatever. But then like, and then she just disappeared. But like she did put her phone number in her phone, as you saw in the trailer. And they talk like that. So I'm like, for all we know, that could have just been some lady. That could have just been some crazy lady.
Yo, it's honestly
Because that would explain the how. That would explain your how.
honestly,
I figured it out, Douglas.
it's it. You know what? Got my De Niro face on. I'm like, not a ton of. It's a very possible theory that made me think like, huh? Yeah, I could see that. I can see that.
Because now you're looking at it differently. And for those of you, because this doesn't this theory doesn't like mess with, it doesn't like spoil anything about the actual movie itself. It was just it wasn't any spoilers. So definitely watch the movie. It's fantastic. It's honestly amazing. But it was just kind of like, to Doug's point, that would be very interesting if that was actually the case.
Yeah, that really would be interesting. And
I had to go on my Sherlock Holmes mode.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did because now I'm rethinking. I'm like, huh? Because there was the thing with the phone. I was like, ain't no way in hell that works. I was like, hold up now, hold up. Interesting. I could, you know what? I could. Okay, you got me, man. I'm thinking about it more and more now, but I'm not gonna rewatch it, sometime soon. So now I'm gonna watch it again with that lens on now. Like, huh? If that means that, then that means this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, but I get it. It's a really cute movie. I'd have to recommend it. I mean, I'm a sucker for coming of age stories. So for sure, put on your radar. I'm giving this really a solid 8 out of 10. I think it was really cute and very feel good and very, again, it's just a fresh air seeing all these kind of just like we saw some really batshit crazy movies this past month. So just like, oh, really cute, kind of quirky coming of age story. Sign us up. And also, hour 25, super short. It just
Perfect.
goes. It just goes. So yeah,
Perfect.
look out for that, guys. Definitely worth seeing that in theaters too. I think there's some really amazing original films right now out in theaters. If you don't want, again, if you're already seeing Deadpool, Wolverine, or you already saw Speak No Evil, whatever, or Beetlejuice, whatever, there's some really amazing really amazing original indie films like this, or original films like this. Go support original filmmaking like this. It's really important that we get more movies like this on the big screen in theaters with an audience. Do your part. See these films in the theaters, please. Please do it for us.
Please
Please do it for us.
do it for us. Do it for
Do
yourselves.
it for you. Do it for
Do it
yourself.
for cinema.
Cinema. Do it.
Cinema.
Do it. Do it. We'll be watching. Not really. But no, it'll be cool to see these movies do very well in the box office. They're very, very well made.
Yes, yes.
Alrighty, my friend. So, to our new listeners on this show, we end every episode of the podcast with our one-and-ones. What are one-and-ones? Our one-and-ones, we do a one film and one TV show recommendation for you all that we think that is very personal to us, a show, a movie that we love. We want to spread the word about this movie or show with you all too. So, Nick, my friend, what are your one-and-ones of this week?
So for my show, I'm going to go with the Nickelodeon animated series Danny Phantom.
Great series.
It's kind of like Ghostbusters meets Spider-Man in an
It's a
interesting way.
great pitch.
Thank you. That's what I do. I'm the king of the elevator pitches.
You are, dude. No bullshit. You are.
Because it's like to sum it up, it's like, you know, it's Danny Phantom, and you know he's a high school kid. His parents are ghost hunters, and they find out like about the ghost dimension, because I guess that's where ghosts come from, because people don't die or some shit. I don't know. I'm just talking. But you know, blah blah blah. He's in the portal, and it fuses with his DNA. So then he gets ghost powers, and he has this cool fucking catchphrase: "I'm going ghost." And then like this white ring appears around him, and then it moves around him, and then that's where like the suit comes from, and his black hair turns like white, and he has a cool like black and white costume. His eyes are green, and he has all these cool powers, like he can fly, walk through walls, turn invisible, and it's like, you know, he has his kind of like Ron and Hermione, what was it, Tucker and Sam, the black kid and the goth girl. Very diverse trio. And then it's like, you know, it's all of these colorful characters, like all these kind of like crazy different types of ghosts. So it's just nonstop adventures, and even some recurring characters which are really fun. And at a certain point, you know, they started giving him new powers, and while I don't mind it, when I look back, I'm kind of like, yeah, y'all were just kind of doing shit, at least in my opinion, because I'm kind of like you can't explain everything with the ghost dimension. You know what I mean? I'm kind of like, I don't know, but it was still really really cool. It was a really cool show. Childhood classic. Same guy that did the Fairly Odd Parents.
Yes, sir.
Butch Hartman, I believe. And for my movie, I'm gonna go with the 2005 underrated Keanu Reeves DC film Constantine, where he played Constantine. So basically, um, in the movie, basically Constantine, he's a DC character, and he's kind of like a detective exorcist. British guy, Matt Ryan played him in the 2015 series, Constantine. And he went from that show over to like the CW show. So he interacted with like Arrow and the Flash and Legends of Tomorrow and blah 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 blah. So you know, that's the character. Like his version is more faithful to the comics, but the Keanu Reeves movie, I believe, was the first like film of him, and they had his taxi driving sidekick played by Shia LaBeouf at the time. And in the movie is Keanu Reeves. He's this kind of like dark, mysterious character. He's doing like exorcisms, and you know, he's just like sick basically. So it's like he's trying to buy more time to live, and like he gets caught in this crazy just battle between like heaven and hell. He's like cats and dogs living together. It was just like all this crazy stuff, but I liked how kind of like dark and gritty and, you know, like grounded it was, while still being mystical in a way, because, you know, and just even seeing like Keanu Reeves take on this character, because his movie was actually my introduction to the character.
Really?
So like when I learned like people were not really fucking with it because it was like, well, he doesn't look like the character, and like it takes place in Los Angeles and not in London. It was like finding all of that, I was like really interested because I was like, I love that movie. Like that movie was dope. And like seeing like his gadgets was really cool, and seeing like the kind of world building, like it was kind of like mystical John Wick in a way, because you got Keanu Reeves as this loner character who's just this fucking badass, but he exists in this larger world where you kind of explore it as the movie goes on.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's really dope. And it was directed by Francis Lawrence, same guy that did the Hunger Games movies, I Am Legend,
Yep.
Red Sparrow.
Yep. Yep. Great filmmaker. Great
Indeed.
filmmaker.
Because even I think there's even talks for a Keanu Reeves Constantine sequel. And also, I was thinking the other day, like I was thinking a while ago, I think in like high school or college or whatever. Like since Constantine came out in 2005, it would be interesting if like this was when it was like still going on, like when the DCE was going on. Like if
Oh, I
some
see.
event happened and they're like we need Constantine or whatever, and it's the Keanu Reeves Constantine, and then it just ties it all into that Zack Snyder DCEU mythology.
That
Yeah,
would
that'd be kind of dope.
that would make more sense, I feel like. Oh wait, J.J. Abrams is producing the new one? Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, I would have pegged J.J. Abrams to do a more sci-fi related DC project, but I keep hearing that he's attached to the more kind of like darker horror supernatural type characters for DC, which is interesting to me. Because
Oh,
J.J. Abrams, I would imagine he would do like a Superman or a Green Lantern or a Justice League or something.
something like, yeah, that makes sense. You're just like, because he's very good with, obviously, with spectacle and obviously with
Yeah.
space, as we all know.
Yeah, you
Um,
get like Guillermo del Toro to do like Justice League Dark or Constantine or
yeah,
something.
something like that. Just, yeah, I'm with you on. Also, I didn't know that Garth Ennis wrote the comic book Hellblazer, and Garth Ennis also is behind the Boys.
Yep, The
Interesting.
Boys, Preacher, some of the Punisher comics. Because he writes like really kind of like edgy and like out there.
Very very edgy, very out there. Oh,
Yeah.
also um he was uh he was th- he was thanked on Deadpool Wolverine.
Garth N is really interesting.
Yeah.
I guess he
Uh
wrote some of those comics probably.
uh yeah, I think, yeah, because I think because you said Punisher he was part of, right? So I wonder if I wonder maybe if interesting. Interesting.
It could happen.
It could happen. It was funny too when I watched Deadpool again last night. Um, I watched the very end, obviously, and I love seeing at the end. Special thanks, and I didn't catch it the first time, obviously, but special thanks was to Hugh Jackman Wrangler, Betty Reynolds, which I think is with Ryan Reynolds' mom, which is really funny.
Oh wow, that's funny.
And I didn't catch this too, and I thought it was one of the funniest lines in the movie too. Special thanks to Truthful Timmy, the blowjob queen of Saskatchewan.
My God.
he goes, you say, he goes, you lied. He goes, they don't call me Truthful Timmy, the blowjob queen of
Yeah, because
Saskatchewan.
in the movie, I was wondering, like, I was wondering, like, are they gonna bring that back? Because that's a crazy fucking,
It's the special thanks.
that's that's a crazy fucking reference. And then like they kind of just didn't, but like it doesn't really matter because the movie was so spectacular. But like you bringing it up right now, like he was in the credits, like that's
That's
hilarious.
hilarious, and I didn't see it the first time. I saw it last night. I was busting out laughing. I was like, "Yo, that's fucking funny, dude." That man, that cracked me up. That really cracked me up. Oh man. So for my one on ones this week, I'm going to go with a movie that I just watched last night on Amazon Prime. I'm surprised it wasn't like a theatrical movie, but it is what it is. It's a movie called Snack Shack, and
Hmm.
it's set 1991. It's very John Hughes and Richard Linklater esque,
A
you said
snack
too.
shack.
And I know fucking Linklater is my favorite filmmaker of all time. Basically Confused, everybody wants him in my top 10 of all time. Watching it, I was like, oh yeah, this is Linklater meets John Hughes, and very again, it's very foul mouthed, very kind of just like raunchy humor. But again, it's a '90s, not '80s. Again, it's not '80s, not '70s. It's a '90s. It's I would say it's light on the '90s nostalgia. Like there's some kind of like what's playing right now? Oh, Terminator 2 is playing right now, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's not too heavy on nostalgia. Like, it feels very
Mm-hmm.
timeless. It feels like, hey, man, like, me and my best friend want to get some money this summer. Like, during summer break, how can we do it? First time drinking, first time partying, meeting girls or whatever. It's very timeless. And it's a really cute movie. And I was surprised that this wasn't, like, really, like, I think it was a Paramount movie, but just never not released in theaters. I think it was made for VOD, but I'm
Hmm.
surprised it wasn't like a theatrical or like bigger streaming movie. But Amazon Prime just got it 2 days ago, and it was so cute, man. I'm a sucker for coming of age movies, as you heard about My Old Ass. I'm very kind of in theme with tonight's episode. It's about two friends, man. 91, they're just trying to make some money. They kind of like these kind of really ambitious 14, 15-year-olds, and they're kind of again experiencing drinking and smoking for the first time, and try and get trying to get laid for the first time, and some of their older friends are very cooler than them, whatever, getting summer jobs, whatever, and getting in trouble with your parents. Again, very Linklater coded, very John Hughes coded. And again, it's an hour and 50 minutes. It goes by really fast, and it's a really kind of fun throwback movie to like films like again Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Days of Confused and Everybody Wants Him in a way, and it's very kind of like a very kind of just like joyful movie. I loved it. Again, there's two kids, two 14-year-olds, and it's the kid who was in The Fablemans. He's also going to be in
Okay.
the SNL biopic coming out next month.
Oh
So
wow.
that kid has a great future ahead of him too. And also, I like Nick Robinson's in this too. He was in Jurassic World. He was in Love, Simon. He was in A Teacher. One of my favorite actors working right now, young actor working right now. He's a very cool dude, and I love watching him and stuff like that. So again, it's a very timeless movie, not too heavy on nostalgia. It's a good again. I probably would see it in theaters, obviously, but again, it wasn't a theatrical movie, but it is a very good streaming. Watch with the boys, watch that. You kind of feel and just kind of just turn your brain off, kind of movie. Just enjoy the vibes, whatever. It's a very good hangout buddy movie. So I would definitely recommend Snack Shack, which is on Amazon Prime right now. And for my show, this show I was debating because I was like, I love the show a lot. However, I have good and bad memories with it because of watching it with my ex almost every night, and that is New Girl. And
Mm.
New Girl's one of my favorite sitcoms in the past, like, what, 10, 13 years. It's a great ensemble cast. You got Zoe Deschanel, you got Jake Johnson, you got Max Greenfield, Lamorne Morris, who just won his first Emmy the other day, which is really cool.
Oh nice.
Damien Wayans Jr. plays coach in a few seasons. What is her name? What is the actress who plays her best friend Cece and slash model? And that is I'm blanking on her name. This happens every time. Her name is pull up IMDb. Hannah Simone, and I knew that too. But yeah, it's basically again, if you don't know, New Girl is one. It's a really beloved comedy the past couple of years. Had a good run. I think it had eight years, 8 seasons, which is really good for a modern day sitcom for a network show, especially.
Yeah.
Deschanel plays kind of very quirky, very nerdy, very hopeless romantic. She's just going through a breakup, and she finds a Craigslist ad for a roommate. It's all these dudes, and they're very outrageous, very obnoxious kind of guys. But you watch the whole camaraderie of everyone. Everyone has great chemistry. It's really funny. It's very sharp. It's very. I wouldn't say it's Seth MacFarlane-esque, but it's very like PG-13, TV-14, Seth MacFarlane, like not too raunchy on the humor, not too vulgar, not too kind of just like grotesque, whatever. But it's a very again feel good show. It's a show about falling in love, having friendships, whatever, kind of the ups and downs of life, the breakups, the new jobs, the firing, whatever. Just kind of like how you navigate through life, but having a good group of friends around you makes a really big difference. And I love that kind of message with the show. So very funny, very quirky. It's on Hulu again. I think it was a big hit when it came out. But again, I love that show before I met my ex. But me and my ex used to watch that show every night. So I have good and bad memories with it. Obviously, more good than bad, but it's a show that kind of like it's very close to my heart for a lot of reasons. But yeah, it's a very feel good show, like 20-minute episodes, and yeah, it's really one of the best sitcoms I think of the 2010. So definitely check out our recommendations this week, everybody. Alrighty, my boy, where can our lovely audience find you at home on the socials?
So you can find me on YouTube at Dawning Vision, capital D as in Dawning, capital V as in Vision, and on Instagram at Dawning Vision, all lowercase, all one word. And if you want to follow my personal, that's Ahmad Johnson 98. You can find me anywhere and everywhere that they have podcasts, and of course, obviously, always and forever here at Midway Avenue Productions, the Genre of Your Life podcast.
Well said, man. You were made for this, man. You were built for this. You have the perfect broadcast voice, my boy.
I always knew growing up I had a face for podcasting.
And that face will be shown soon at the whole video podcast.
Hopefully a face for video podcasting as well.
We do. Definitely. No doubt about it.
There's only one way to find out.
Hey, time will tell. Time will tell. You can find me on my personal page on Instagram at The Young Jones. You can also find me on Twitter or X at Capri Sun, Capri_SON. You can find the show socials on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, all at Midway Avenue Productions. We're really growing our socials a lot out this year. We have a great, again, thank you all for getting our great following on Instagram. Obviously, we're still trying to grow the YouTube and TikTok, obviously, but stay tuned for that. And you can find some amazing work from Nick and Moses on our link tree. Like I said, too, you can read Nick's amazing article at Essence Magazine. You can watch his award-winning short film. You can watch Moses' award-winning short film, Golds. Our guys do some amazing work outside the podcast too, so definitely check out our boys' amazing work through our YouTube page, through our link tree on Midway Avenue Productions on our Instagram page. Support our guys, man. Yeah, we love doing this every week for you all and for us, of course. It's one of our biggest joys in our life right now. So thank you all so much for tuning in every week to hear us ramble about movies, TV, and all things entertainment. If you're new to the show, we hope you had a great first experience with us and hope to see you all next week. And as always, my friends, we will see you at the movie.